Capcom.
This is the tournament for the new millennium. You'll experience the most exciting battle in history. Let's get ready to battle. Feel the intensity when power and technique collide. Crush the competition.
Welcome to GameSpot Live. I'm Greg Kasavin, here to sing the praises of Capcom vs. SNK 2 EO for the Xbox, a game that's really just a revolutionary new step for fighting games. Actually, the game itself isn't, because it's a pretty derivative fighting game that's been done before on a number of other systems. The game originally came out in 2001, and it's been on the PS2 and the Dreamcast and the GameCube before finally hitting the Xbox. So what could have been another multi-platform hand-me-down instead has a very, very interesting feature that's exclusive to the Xbox, and that's, of course, online play. You could take this game online and play people from North America or from Japan in what's an otherwise really, really solid fighting game. So words alone cannot describe how important of a thing that is to this game. It makes the value of the game go off the scale. The fact that you could find an opponent who's at your approximate skill level anytime from anywhere and just play with that opponent as much as you want. Use the Xbox Live headset to talk smack or compliment a move well done and what have you. It's much like the competitive arcade experience, only in a lot of ways it's better because there's no standing in line, and you could actually find opponents of your skill level this way. There are already people playing the game online, and it's really just a remarkable experience. Capcom vs. SNK 2 isn't technically the first fighting game to have online play built into it, but it really is the first one to get it done right. The gameplay online is relatively lag-free. There is an occasional hiccup once in a while, but really it doesn't happen in a fashion that tends to throw your timing or anything like that. There's also a brief pause that you'll notice as new characters jump into the fray, basically in between rounds. There's some other weird quirks, like sometimes the music cuts off for some reason, and plus just the menus for finding opponents on Xbox Live. They're really ugly and bare bones, but who cares? It's a fighting game you could play online. This is amazing. It's what fighting games have needed for so long, because arcades are basically, they're dead for the most part. You can't find people to play against, and the controllers are all busted, and the games cost $1 per play, and all that kind of stuff. But now you get the competitive arcade experience at home, and that's, again, it's just a really important step for this genre to take, and makes this a landmark achievement in the genre. The game itself, of course, is quite good. You may be familiar with it already. It features about 40 different characters hailing from various Capcom and SNK fighting games. You could choose one to three characters to be on your team. If you choose just one or two, they'll be relatively stronger to make up for the fact that you have fewer characters on your side. And there are also a number of different fighting styles called grooves that you can pick for your team. So that, combined with all the different characters in the game, you can make for a lot of different types of teams, and opens up a lot of different types of strategies and so forth. And again, this translates right back into the online experience, because although you'll find kind of the typical Ryu, Ken, Akuma players, you'll also find some weird people who pick Dhalsim, Dan, and Rugal or something like that, and choose some pretty zany combinations, and you yourself will probably feel compelled to do that after a while, just so you can kind of distinguish yourself in how you play online. Online rankings are tracked. You can also screen for players in different ways. Those who prefer the arcade style or the new EO control scheme can be screened accordingly. The EO control scheme deserves mention. It's pretty horrible. It's what made the GameCube version of the game really bad, or contributed to it being disappointing. Basically, it's an alternative control scheme that makes special moves trivial. You just use the right analog stick to dish out any of the special moves available to your character. It completely throws off the balance of the game, so any idiot can perform spinning pile drivers with Zangief like there's no tomorrow. But again, fortunately, the EO controls are totally optional. The controller's buttons are laid out in such a way, once you take into account the black and white buttons, that's very much like the 6-button layout that you'll find in arcades. So actually, you could set up your controls to be pretty similar to what you'd be playing if you were at an actual arcade and playing with a stick. The directional pad's a little stiff, but still, with a little bit of practice, you'll find that the controller doesn't actually get in the way of your ability to play this game well. Of course, the game's got numerous offline modes. You can play against the computer, and there's training and survival and all that kind of stuff. Some stuff that can be unlocked, and you could kind of edit your character's colors and stuff like that. But have I mentioned online play before? That's really the reason to get this game. It's just another fighting game, albeit one with a lot of characters and some cool stuff in it, if you disregard the online component. But with the online component, it's something truly remarkable and special, and something that any self-respecting fighting gamer, anyone with the faintest of interest in fighting games, really ought to check out. It's just a great sign for what's to come from this genre, and hopefully from Capcom as well. Now this opens up the floodgates for Capcom to start shelling out all its old games, but with online play, and I think for any fighting gamer, that's a really exciting prospect.
The martial arts madness begins. 2001 is the year we make contact. Welcome to the revolution. Capcom versus SNK 2. Mark of the Millennium 2001.